Okay, good morning. Welcome to the class. Today we are going to talk about a very important topic, that is introduction to linguistics. So as a general linguistics student, you have to have what is general linguistics and what are the linguistics means. So general linguistics means describing uh, all the basic elements of linguistics like phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. All the topic is under the umbrella of general linguistics. Then what is linguistics? So linguistics means analyzing any human language. It can be oral language, it can be written language, it can be sign language also, in a very scientific way. So analyzing any linguistic tool in a very scientific way is linguistics. So linguistics is not dealing, right, learning a new language, learning a second language, not like that. So maybe you have a misconception sometimes. Linguistics means dealing and learning a second language, not like that. So it can be any language, and it's not necessarily dealing with only English language. So linguistics is dealing any language of the world with its structure. So structure means it can be the phonological structure, it can be the word meaning structure, it can be the sentence structure, it can be how this syntactic structure have pragmatic value or semantic value like that. You have to analyze that. So one by one, I am elaborating what are the branches of linguistics mainly. So in terms of general linguistics, the main branch of linguistics is phonology. So what is phonology? So how the human being, when produce some sound, what the mechanism happens within his brain to create some distinct sounds together to produce any meaning. For example, if I talk about pa in a single sound, it does not create any meaning to you, right? When I talk about pen, when I'm mingling pa and e and na together, then it creates a meaning to you. So phonology means sound patterning that human being inherently produce, or maybe some mechanism happens within his brain and they put together the sound, and this sound putting together creates a meaning. And this meaning is not universal, because when you put together some sounds together, it can meaningful to one culture, it cannot be meaningful to the other culture or other language, right? So putting the some sounds together and creates an organized sounds, that is a meaning creation. So phonology mainly is dealing with how and why the sounds are organized and how they're patterned and how this patterning happens each of the language of the world in different way, and how they create meaning, right? And then what is phonetics and how this phonological sound actually happens through the mouth of the speaker. The actual event happened by the speaker is phonetics. For example, how a human child produce the sound, or any adult person can produce sound. So the speech mechanism, how the speech organs help to produce the sound, is a part of phonetics. Actual event. For example, when I talk about pain, an ultimate produced by the mouth of the speaker, this actual mechanism, not the organization of the sounds, the actual mechanism and production is phonetics. So phonetics, in a sense, is actual production of the phonology that creates meaning, but actual production level, it is phonetics. So there are three branches of phonetics, like how sounds are produced, how sounds are perceived and transmitted. All these things are the branch of phonetics. And then morphology. So from sound, individual sound level to a word level, that is written. So usually morphology is a written language. We talk about how the words are divided. That means how the word can be analyzed in a very, very individual unit. Like, for example, reunion, we can divide the sound re and union, and how this re and union create a new word. That's the study of morphology, how each of the segment are different and how these two segments are put together, or how one word can be analyzed in a minimal unit. There are some unit that has meaning and some unit that has not any meaning. For example, when I talk about going, go as an individual word has meaning, but when you talk about ing, this ing is just a suffix, not any actual meaning of there. So how the words are constructed and how they are separated, it's a branch of morphology. That's very, very basic branch of linguistics. And then syntax. So syntax means how the sounds are, not the sounds, how the phrases and how the clauses are structured. That means how subject, verb, object are combined together, and how they creates a phrase, and how these phrases are putting together to create a whole long structure of sentence or clause. So clause is very, very basic written structure of the sentences. So as it's the individual part of sentence, or it can be full sentence, how they individual words putting together and the constituents create a whole sentence, and that also creates some meaning. So the syntax is the organization of the words within the sentence, within the clause, within the phrase. That's a basic level of linguistics element. So, the tree we put together, for example, when we write the sentence, I like you. So I means it's a pronoun, and then and like is a transitive verb, and you is object. So it's a pronoun. So how you can divide that, and we can put, if you like, you like me, or I like you. So how this framing happens and it create meaning is a part of syntax. And then semantics is, there are two types of semantics. One is lexical semantics, how individual word create meaning to you. For example, when I talk about apple, how apple creates meaning to your mind. That's a part of linguistic lexical semantics. And how, if I talk about I like you, how I like you create meaning to you, it's a called compositional semantics. How the very sentence or phrase or clause creates meaning to the, to the listener or the audience who listen to that. So meaning creation is very, very, compositional meaning is very, very critical, because how this component creates meaning to you over your brain, it's a very complex process, because if you don't have the idea of the item that I'm talking about, you cannot create meaning. So this meaning creation is very, very different. Some sentence can be syntactically true, but semantically very, very problematic. Okay. So for example, the passive sentences, he is loved by me, very syntactically correct sentence, but semantically, some extent, he is loved by me. It creates a meaning contrast some extent. So it's a compositional way. When you talk about the meaning, is very, very different. And what is pragmatic? So semantics is the sentence meaning that we found from the syntax. But pragmatics is meaning that's related to the world structure or the context of the world, what the application of the meaning in terms of the worldview. So it's much more applied section of the meaning, not the not the textual meaning or not the syntactic meaning is pragmatic. Pragmatic is the meaning that are produced and shaped in terms of the situation, in terms of the context, not the textual meaning or the syntactic meaning. But semantics, on the other hand, is basic level of meaning that we found from the sentence and from the syntactic structure. So these are four or five at the basic level of linguistics element, like phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. Other than that, there are some other branches that are modern branches of linguistics, like sociolinguistics, how the language socially has impact, and how the meaning created socially contrast, all these things, how gender has impact, that is sociolinguistics, right? And another branch of linguistics that are very new, like neurolinguistics, psycholinguistics. So these are totally how the your nerve and neurological way it creates meaning and what are the responses. So neurolinguistics, psycholinguistics, totally it's a biological part, but also how the biology has impact on the language acquisition, like the child language acquisition or second language acquisition. These are the branches of that. So do you have any follow-up question on branches of linguistics? No. Okay. So these are the basic branches of linguistics. So far, we will, in course of time, we'll deal each by each gradually. Each of the module we will talk together. So these are the branches of linguistics. So I hope you have a general sense what linguistics means and what are the basic areas that linguistics so far cover. Thank you for listening.